How you doing? This is Ujval from the GNA Institute. So I'm just going to share with you some GNA book today. My expertise in topic, physics, metaphysics. How does the earth work? How does it operate? Is it that hard to figure out? We don't know. Let's find out. So we'll be going through my book on a random notion, meaning I leave it up to Providence to see what they would like to talk about, because that's how you have to leave your body open to transcommunicate. If you really want to write something that people are going to want, you have to leave yourself open to realize what do they want. If you try to fabricate it always, you're not always going to get the right results. So that's what I'm trying to do with this book, and I'm going to do such. Ready? Alright. So we have, a teacher performs in the negative, but without, this is page 94 of my book, the Code of Earth's Creation System. Geonegative Axis Gannon Publishing. So this was 2017. So here we go. A teacher performs in the negative, but without students receiving the positive, the teacher isn't transferring energy or corresponding. So this is kind of like, when you teach with some people, sometimes there's like a dead motion. I don't know if you've ever been like that, but I've been in classes where the teachers are they're trying to ram this information down to the students, but the students aren't accepting it. So it's kind of like dead, like not a live wire, right? It's a wire, there's something there, but it's not live. So we go into, unless they've inverted the practice themselves to teach them alone. Sometimes people teach just if they can teach themselves. So they get up there and then they'll be like, they're not really communicating because they don't really want to. They're just trying to learn it themselves. Usually teachers start out like that. When you see like a new teacher will come in, they'll start out like that. They'll come out with their own stuff. So we have the teacher relies on them to open their space as he empties his words, a negation, and they fill their minds, which is a positive. When put into practice, it manifests all persuasions of life. This is another level of negative that has to do with sound waves and subtle energy. So basically what that's explaining is that all of their interaction of life around us, from the subtle to the gross, right? From what we're thinking to how we're actually being, how we're making things happen. Cooking dinner, for instance. You have to put the thought out, and then you have to work on it. So there's a transference, there's a negation of energy that you're manifesting. Some people, they get so caught up on not transferring energy because they don't want to go forward that it's a line of depression they call OCD or something, obsessively compulsive. So they don't want to go further. They want to be stuck in that moment. You understand? So we gotta look out for that in our own character, to not be too OCD, to not want to do what's the next thing in our life. You can't be too attached to the results either. Sometimes old results, they fail us, so we don't want to do the new results. But that's not always the right way to do things, especially when you have something good to offer, and then you can help others with it. It's not always about helping yourself. Okay, so I'm going to go into some further information. The subtle waves, right? Sound waves. Some argue that the soul has the basis for all knowledge. Therefore, it's an awakening. In the filling out of the space, people tend to put on the performance more in front of the crowds too. For this reason, then it rehearsals naturally, and this is the intention which is being made. So people put on rehearsals because why? They want to show that what they're doing, they know it. So they have to practice it. They have to imbibe it by doing this negation and positive affirmation, right? Negation or affirmation. Negation, affirmation. So you affirm and you negate. You affirm and you're giving to others, and by that exchange, they become the right, let's say, person they want to be for that performance. Okay, so man's intention becomes a supply and demand for a woman to create, and their genitalia are therefore a sacrifice as a positive reactor, seeking a positive ramification to a negative. Either way, it ends up in a negative. But if it's solely exasperating of energy, it withers off in a positive regard and diminishes into disengagement. So basically, that's a very vast thing to say. Let's just see what I say next before I go back to that. So humans also have to have this charge when creating magnetic sexual field, as with homosexuality of men, and the intimacy comes from the charge of the anus and the mouth, which is both negative-based contexts. Female homosexuality is from pleasuring the negative-based organs, and they are in themselves DNA complete structures of organs. So basically, I went from subtle to the gross. So how do humans function? By the same principle. By the same principle of giving knowledge. One is receiving, one is is taking in. So one's pleasuring, the other one is being pleasured. So they're both trying to pleasure, right? But one is doing for the other, right? So it's the same thing that occurs in homosexuality as well. So I'm just explaining the different activities in life. Okay, this is not a Bible. I'm not like this is physics, explaining how things work. Okay, according to their natures and how they're interacting from in and out. So either way, the negative, but it's solely exasperating energy. So basically, if you're going to just do it for yourselves, if you're just doing it for the positive regard, you're exasperating energy into disengagement, meaning that just becomes a component that you use for yourself. It has no connection. It's not building into anything. That's what you don't want to do. You want to be a negative integer. You want to be a person that is not divided by others and just gives God his one, right? So that when you fill up your soul or you fill yourself up to good, all you have is good. So let's say if there is a God, right, we have to assume, right, that this life may be not the end, and making all these structures has a purpose. So that when this is all over and you go to God, right, thereupon you have to realize, who are you? What did you do in your life? That will all be attested right there. They'll all explain to you. This is what you did. This is what you did mainly. This is who you are. This is how you was mainly. So after all that occurs, then you have an understanding of who you are. So basically what you got to do is find out who you are. And by doing that, you go through the process of using negatives and positives and see if you're more negative or more positive. If you're just into your positive, I need positive, I need to be happy, I need to eat this, and then where's your negation? If you don't have any negation, then you're not part of anything. Your negation is your sacrifice. So if you're only doing positive regard, where's your sacrifice? What are you connected to? Where is your line? Where is it coming from? Explain it to us. And then on top of that, people have even bad things that they've done to their lines, right? They just sprout their negative. So now what is your negative now? Your negative is even broken and crooked. So what are you going to do now with your negative? So all these things come to play, and it's why you have to be very, very understanding of what you're doing in your life. And don't just run off and do crazy things with that which is not. Meaning Maya, the illusion. The illusion will say, hey, come here, I got something crazy to tell you. Let's go do that and that to them. Say, no, get away from me, no. We're doing what's right. We must do what is good under the sun, what is fair for all. Otherwise, what are we doing? Right? We're not doing much. We're playing with light. That's it. Okay? That's the easy magnetic trick, but we don't always need to work on tricks. We have to also work on reality, principle, right? This can make the inquisitive wonder how a woman can go without a penis and be happily situated against any heterosexual intercourse fully even. And that is because they access the ability to create a negative field much stronger and fulfilling. So reality, really it is nature for them to enjoy each other. As far as deriving the highest from a magnetic field, this is double-based negative. The anus and the uterus gives them this upper hand. Women seem like they are missing a proponent, but their magnetic fields are more viable. Being there, wiring is negative. Women are negative by nature. They're giving. Their bodies are set up for a negative, to receive energy, right? To receive a positive, right? In sexuality. So, therefore, they already have their components. They can work together by their own. It's very true. Many women that are straight, they can easily be with women, and then be straight again. It just, if they need it, they had to. It's not like with men. Men be like, oh my God, no way, I can't do it. They have they can have a real bias against it. They can carry it for the whole life. Well, you'll see with women, it's different because they are the negative field. Women are the carriers of this world, whether you want to call it or not. That's the truth. All right, so we're going to go on to the next thing, which is Srimad Bhagavatam, because without love, philosophy, God, science is just boring. Doesn't make sense. Okay, who's behind it? No, there's a purpose. It goes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. And we're going to read this verse. Nahi shadbhava yuktanam suranam isha vishmaya mato shatam mano bangha prasamayo pa kalpate. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mungyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshoramitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. So we got Nahi Shadbhava Yuktanam Shranam Isha Vishmaya Mato Shatam Mana Bhangha Prasamayo Pakalpate. Since the demigods are endowed with the modes of goodness, the false pride of considering oneself the Lord should certainly not affect them, which I break the false prestige of those bereft of goodness. My purpose is to bring them relief. So here, it says the demigods are supposed to be Shadbhava Yukta, endowed with spiritual existence, since they are deputed servants of the Supreme Lord. The Bhagavad Gita is stated, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagnau, Brahmanahutam, Brahmayavatena Gantavyam, Brahmakarma Shamadhina. That which is duly offered to the Lord becomes spiritualized. The demigods engage in the devotional service of the Lord by managing various departments of cosmic administration. Therefore, as demigods who are servants of the Lord, their existence is pure, Shadbhava. When the demigods fail to live up to the highest position given by the Lord and deviate from the proper behavior, they are not acting as demigods, but rather as conditioned souls. Manai, or false prestige, is certainly an anxiety-ridden burden for the conditioned soul. A falsely proud person is not truly peaceful, satisfied, because his understanding of himself is falsified and inflated. When a servant of the Lord becomes ashat, or irreligious, the Lord saves him from his impiety by breaking the false prestige that has led him to offensive or sinful stated by the Lord himself. Yasyaham agrahami arisya dhanam sahanai. I give my blessings to a person by taking away his so-called opulence. Of course, the advantage stage of the devotional service of the Lord, as described by Goswami Yukta Varagya, utilize the opulence of the world to execute the Lord's mission. Obviously, this thing of the world can be useful wonderfully to spread the glories of the Lord, to create a godly society, and to be advanced toward, seduced by the paraphernalia by which dutiful, honestly engaged, and solely the pleasure of the Lord is a particular case. Lord Indra forgot that he was a humble servant of the Lord, and Lord Krishna therefore arranged to bring the bewildered demigods to his senses. Senses. You understand? So, Krishna says, Tasman machcharanam goshtam mannatha mat parigraham Gopayashvatma yogena soyam me brata ahitaha. I must therefore protect the cowherd community by my transcendental potency, for I am their shelter, I am their master. And indeed they are my family. After all, I have taken the vow to protect my devotees. Krishna says like this. So don't ever listen to anybody who says that you need to be a callous being, that you need to harm others, that you need to lie, you need to cheat them, because that is false. You understand? God himself says he needs to protect his devotees, okay? By giving them what is meaningful in life, giving them opportunities to serve God and be part of his pastimes, his world. So this means that we can never forbid others into the transcendental field of life, because God is the one that will take things away if need be. Okay? Understand that. Let God do this work. But when the things are lined up, you have to give it to the person. Always. Because it's right there. Shastra says. Krishna will do it or not. Otherwise, if you're even like a demigod, you'll be like a regular person. You won't be honorable. If you don't do what's right, if you don't give what's right to a person to what they're owed, then you won't be honorable. That is the truth.